Well, hey, folks. Looks like we are live and running. So, hello. Sounds like our signal is coming through A-OK. Let me go ahead and hit my signal here real quick, and we'll get to work. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them, and I publish them online, and I have been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for a number of years now. The stuff that I create, I publish on DMsGuild.com, which I have multiple links to listed down below. I'm going to punch my signal across the internet here real quick just to get the word out that we're live. But we have been developing a alternate spellcasting system for martial type characters so that there's a unified spell point mana resource system across all 13 classes for either spellcasting or things like battle master maneuvers and stuff like that martial characters typically get. So we went through the effort of converting all that stuff into basically a level equivalent, and then assigning half casting progression for characters to be able to multi-class freely between casters and martial classes, and having a single mana pool to be able to utilize spells and what we call powers, martial powers. Kind of a callback to 4th edition and Book of the Nine Swords from 3rd edition as well. So let me just say here real quick, blip, blip, blip. Right, so like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. We've picked up more subscribers since yesterday, so thanks a lot, folks, for taking an interest in what we're doing here. Let's see, we have notifications that we can get. I've got a Discord community where we're going to be doing a playtesting for the martial power system once we get the campaign built. So we're building pre-generated characters here to use in the playtest at 3rd level, and then we're building the actual. It's a hex crawl type environment, so it can be West March by nature. We won't know who necessarily is going to be playtesting with us from week to week, but I want to run for a number of months to be able to get a good feedback across multiple levels. I've been running this thing from level 12 to 20 at my home table, but they all love me already anyway, so I need some external some external feedback to make sure that what we're building is legit. So you're welcome to check that stuff out. For those that are interested in looking at the power system in general, I have a listed for it on my Patreon. You don't have to be a subscriber to Patreon to have access to it, but it is a read-only document. So to be able to publish things on DM's Guild, I can't hand out copies of stuff. And so what I'm showing here is a very front-end alpha draft of what this will become that's suitable for playtesting, but far from finalized language. So once it's actually finalized, edited, laid out, blah, 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 all that stuff is going to be on the DM's Guild, and there'll be hyperlinks for you guys to follow that stuff through. All this stuff will be scrapped out and removed, and there'll just be a hyperlink to the DM's Guild once it publishes. So if you're interested in the playtest, be welcome to drop by the Discord channel and hang out. We'll be building that stuff. We're almost done with characters. By this time next week, we'll finish off all of the guilds that we need to have a stack of characters that people can just pull and use if they don't come to the table with their own, or if one of your characters gets killed during the playtest, you can just pick up one of these guys and start running with them as well. So be welcome to check that stuff out. This week we are going to build an Orzhov Rogue Phantom. I did a poll on my Patreon and my Discord asking what people were interested in, and the Patreons, the patrons had paying patrons had more votes because they're paying for access. So it ended up being a tie between an Orzhov Guild Mage Warlock that I have on DM's Guild or the Rogue Phantom. And since the Warlock, since it was a tie, the Warlock win because that's what my patrons wanted. But since it was a tie, I felt I should do both of them. So now we're doing the Orzhov Rogue Phantom. So we're going to look at the Orzhov background, the Phantom character class, the alterations that we make. Here's our playtest content that you can click through on the DM's Guild, like on my Patreon that I showed. And so all these classes use half casting progression and either a long rest. If you're like a paladin, artificer, ranger, you're getting a mana source that's a long rest. Or if you are a martial, like a barbarian, a fighter, a monk, or a rogue, you're getting a short rest mana pool, and all the classes have fun little caveats that allow them to cheat additional mana into their pool, depending on what kind of strategy you choose to build for your character. So I'm going to scroll down here to the rogue. All right, so we've built a rogue before, but we're going to build another one. So I'm just setting up all my bits here real quick. Here's the rogue, and then let's scroll down to the list of powers that we'll have to choose from. That starts down on page. Again, if you want to see this document, you click on the Martial Powers playtest, and you click on the Martial Powers. The YouTube stream that's here right now, hey guys. But if you click on the Martial Powers button, again, it's a read-only document. If you request access to edit and copy, I'll assume that you want to be added to an email list to be notified as this develops. If you're not interested, don't ask. Here's our rogue. Here is our list of powers. There's 200 some odd powers. 150 of them use mana. The rest of them are like cantrip sort of effects that don't require any mana expenditure at all. So you've got a ton of options to enhance your character's action loops as you please. And then we're going to scroll down. Magic paradigms. Beep 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 beep. DM section. Before that, before power gear, Ravnica guild. There we are. We'll be in the Orzhov guild. So this is an alternate spell. Like the Orzhov grants a list of spells, but since martial characters don't cast spells, they channel powers. They can't make use of that list. They can grab the cantrips, but the spells at level 1, 3, 5, blah, that's swapped out for a list of preset powers that we'll get access to. And we're going to go through that list as we go, as we move along. So I'm going to start at the front. We're going to go with an elf, a human Orzhov character. So let's see, human Orzhov. The feature that we get from the Orzhov class is leverage, which allows you to ask or demand a favor from a guild member, an Orzhov guildsmage, or member of the Orzhov syndicate that is of lower rank than you, to demand a favor from them. In this play testing, that's going to translate into having a spell that isn't in the color you're devoted to gain access to one spell that is. So if that doesn't make any sense to you, then we can scroll down here to the color mana spell point variant rules that I have on DMsGuild, and you can check out the revised 5-color mana spell list. I'm going to be integrating this revised list into the core mechanics book once the new DMG and Player's Handbook comes out later on this year for the revised 5th edition. But as it stands right now, there's 5 colors: white, blue, black, red, green. Each of those colors has a general description of what they mean mechanically inside of the 5e game system. Like white magic is traditionally associated with, according to the cards, the Magic the Gathering cards, white stuff tends to be based around divination, like divinity, like gods, divinity, angels, stuff like that. Healing, light, protection, restraint. While black dips into control, entropy, fear, your soul, darkness. So blend those two things together, and that's a decent list of like tags that would be applied to different spell or effects. And then there's damage types. These are the damage types that are typically expressed in Magic the Gathering cards that have equivalents in the D&D 5e game engine. And here's black here: white, blue, black, red, green. So white colors typically associate with cold, force, psychic, and radiant damage, while black energy is typically acid, necrotic, poison, and psychic damage. And then there's other colors. So depending on the kind of character you have, you're devoted to different colors. Those colors kind of dictate what sort of energy types are native to your guild's operation. And then all the spells are broken down by white, blue, black, red, green as well. So an Orzhov, like an Orzhov cleric, for instance, would have access to bless as white magic. But if I was playing, since Orzhov is white-black, if I wanted to have access to Burning Hands, normally I wouldn't, because Burning Hands is a red spell because of fire. For my Orzhov character to get access to Burning Hands, I have to learn it as either white or black, or both, but one of these two colors, so that I can get it onto my spell list. I could either choose to learn it as a red spell and it's useless, and then learn it again twice so I can have it on my spell list. Alternatively, I could spend downtime and gold to research the spell to automatically be whatever color I want it to be by spending resources. So the fun thing about the leverage feature is that once per level, you can take a spell on the master spell list that isn't part of your native devoted colors and make it that. So if you wanted your Orzhov character at first level to have access to, like, say, well, if it was a wizard, for instance, a cleric wouldn't, but a wizard, if like a first level Orzhov wizard wanted Burning Hands, you could use your leverage to have somebody find that spell for you, and you could add it to your spell book as a white or black spell. So when you cast a spell, you could use white or black mana, so that your Orzhov character would be able to make use of it. Hey, what's up? W speech. Yo, yeah, we're up at the 308. Thanks a lot, man. 809, it's good to see you. Yeah, we hit 300. We're climbing to 500. That's our next goal. So if this stuff is interesting to anyone that's out there, like, subscribe, bell icon, blah, blah, blah. Love to have you. So that's what leverage can do for us in this playtest. Since we're in the Rubble Belts and we don't have access to our normal resources, we can backfill that leverage resource by, again, whenever you gain a level, you can choose a new spell to add to your color list as white and or black. Let's see. So we are going to build an Orzhov Rogue Phantom today. So, yeah, right on, my guy. Rogues lean into dexterity, so this build, the standard array that I use as a DM, I run campaigns from level 1 to 20 in about 250 hours-ish. I just finished my third 20th level campaign, and I'm starting up another one using Spelljammer mechanics. So you guys can check out Spelljammer stuff in the mornings, Monday through Friday, to see the stuff that I build, and then I'll have a pre-recording on Sunday talking about some specific mechanics inside of Spelljammer that I think are interesting for you guys to check out. So the standard array of stats that I use as a DM is 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, and 6. So that gives you a +3, a +2, a +1, a 0, a -1, and a -2 to your stat set. So as a rogue, I'm going to stick with dexterity type stuff. So I'm going to drop my strength down to -2. I'm going to make my charisma 14 instead. I'm going to drop my wisdom down to 10. So I'm at 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, -2, +3. Okay, good. That's my stat line. Easy enough. If I use variant human, I'd get a +1 to all of these things, plus a free feat. But I'm not going to bother processing that right now. We can just gain access to a feat or whatever. But we do want to continue, let's see, processing here for the rogue. So I know that we have a 3rd level rogue up here for Demir. We built a Soul Blade a couple weeks, like last 2 weeks ago, I think. There we go. So we know the class features and the channeling class features here. Cut and pasty, and I'll walk through what these things are real quick if you need them. If you aren't already indoctrinated into this madness. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Okay, so we start at 3rd level. So a 3rd level rogue can channel up the first rank powers, which is the same as like a 1st level spell. Our power die is going to be a d6. That's kind of like a superiority die or a bard's inspiration die. It's a modifier that adds on to like d20 or to damage rolls that you make. We can prepare at 3rd level. We can prepare 4 powers. Yes, prepare. So you can change your menu of powers that you prepared whenever you finish a long rest. But you can also, whenever you finish a short rest, you can switch one. So you have a lot of versatility to be able to remain fluid with your team. And then at 3rd level, as a short rest, you can have 3 mana. That mana can be any color that you want. And Orzhov has has white and black mana specifically. So let's do that. White and black. Sustained powers, which are like concentration or effects, always can use both colors. And we'll figure out, and then one color gets 2, and then the other one gets the other. There's 5 disciplines total. There's exploits, there's maneuvers, there's reactions, there's strikes, and there's sustained powers. So sustained concentration affects either color. And that leaves 4 other disciplines of power. You can choose 2 of those disciplines to be one color, and the other 2 disciplines to be the other color. Depending on how you build your character, you'll know what type of discipline powers you want to lean into, whether like strikes and reactions, or like exploits, maneuvers, or anything like that. You curve your mana pool to be able to purchase or to be able to be used as a resource for the type of powers that you want to channel, depending on the kind of character that you want to build. And so while we build out, in 3rd level, you don't have a lot of options. I mean, you don't have a lot of options. You're only 3rd level. But by the time you get up into the 4th tier, you've got a shitload of mana and a shitload of stuff that you can do with it. So you can start prepping your channel list, to your power list to do the things that you want. And then whenever you finish a long or a short rest, you can decide how much mana is devoted to each color. So if you build out your kit so all you're using are strikes and reactions, then you're going to want to have all your mana going into just strikes and reactions. So like if I made both strikes and reactions black and made exploits and maneuvers white, and I don't have any exploits or maneuvers, then I can put all my mana into black and just be doing strikes and reactions all day. But depending on how I want to build my character will dictate what I need to do. And since I can swap out powers whenever I finish a short or a long rest, I can swap my color pool along with the powers that I learned, so I'm always able to optimize my mana pool to complement what powers I've chosen to learn. I can change what disciplines are devoted to each color whenever I gain a level, and then whenever I finish a rest, I can change what powers within those disciplines I have prepared and how much mana of each color I want devoted. If we were using a more open-ended system, you could have access to all 5 colors, and then it would be up to you. Like, I want 3 green, I want 2 blue, I want some white and black, and let's ignore red. Like, you could kit that out. Like, if you got 20-some spells as a wizard, you've got 50 points of mana, you can customize your mana pool to specifically be able to trigger. Like, if I want to be able to cast Fireball over and over again, I'm going to need to have a stack of red mana on my plate, so I have the red resource to be able to cast it over and over again. But like a 3rd level spell, it could be 1 point of red mana, and then the other 2 points could be anything that I want. So like if I wanted to play a mix of like a druid that has like a mix of white, red, and green spells, then I could decide how much of those spells that I want to be leaning onto the red, onto the green, or onto the white as I please. It's a lot more fiddly with more levers to pull, but people that are into Magic the Gathering like pulling those levers and like manipulating mana. That's what the Magic the Gathering card game is all about. Casting spells with an efficient mana pool. We're translating the style of play from Magic the Gathering into Dungeons and Dragons with this system. If you don't like that stuff, then you can ignore the color mana system and just use universal spell points or spell slots if you want to, and just narrate. I use white and black magic, so I'm gonna have like black radiance surrounding me whenever I do an effect or something, whatever your narrative is. But we're adding a mechanical component to add depth to the Ludo narrative of having your mechanics reflect what your character can do. It's also a good way of being able to scale down the amount of power that characters have in 5e. So so your characters are less omnipotent. You know, one of the problems with 5e is how powerful your characters are. By self-nerfing yourself into a mana color system, or an elemental system, or any other type of power paradigm that we've been describing, you can change the breadth of power that your characters immediately have access to, while building characters. Like if I want to be a high energy, emotional, quick to act, think later type of character, I might want to play like a red themed character like Boros or Gruul, where I'm leaping before I look. And that red mana, that red philosophy, like if you check out Dice Try's channel, the red philosophy is very energetic and like I said, like act before you think, like reflexive type characters that are animalistic or passionate or intuitive. That's kind of what the red energy feels like, as opposed to like a more methodical character might want to go with blue magic as their expression, like Azorius or Simic, for example. So different ways to play with it. So let's see here. Expertise and a skill. Sneak attack, which will be, sneak attack is 2d6. So I can get rid of the sneak attack listing here. We also get Thieves' Cant. At second level, we get Cunning Action. At third level, we have 2d6 with a sneak attack dice, and we get a Roguish Archetype, which we are choosing equals Phantom. Channeling class features, we know that we get 3 mana. At third level, we know 4 powers. We're using a d6 power die. And then we have the Power Over Precision class feature, and what that does is... and we have Empowered Maneuvers as well. There's Empowered Maneuvers and Power Over Precision. So, Empowered Maneuvers is when you take the attack action during combat. These things are during... I need to have that listed here. During beginning at first level, comma, during combat, when you take the attack action, you can forgo any number of attacks to reduce the cost of channeling a maneuver as a bonus action by 1 mana for each attack sacrificed this way. So at third level, I have 1 attack as my attack action, and I have a bonus action. Maneuvers can be channeled as actions or bonus actions. I could do it twice in the same round. I could use the same power twice in the same round, but only maneuvers. So, and we'll look at maneuvers later, but with this, since I could use a maneuver as an action or as a bonus action, if I sacrifice my attacks during my action, I can pay for my mana with my action. So instead of using my resource pool, I can instead get a virtual or like a temporary point of mana that I can then spend on that first rank maneuver. That maneuver would cost 1 mana. I'm going to sacrifice my attack, so my character basically doesn't have an action this round, and I can use my bonus action to use a maneuver for free. So as like fighters that scale up with attacks per round, they can sacrifice more and more attacks to get more and more free mana, so they can channel like really big effects for free. But they're sacrificing all of these attacks. This does 2 things. 1, it gives your character spammable abilities without tapping their resources. So you have an infinite power supply to you if you're willing to sacrifice your action economy to get access to it. Number 2, you're sacrificing action economy, which means that you're rolling less dice. You're having a decision to make. Am I going to sacrifice my attack or not? So there's a level of mechanical depth to the system that lets you make more decisions during your round of combat. How am I going to best serve my team? There's nothing here that I think I'm going to kill right now. But if I use a maneuver to grant the paladin extra attack as a reaction, then they could smite again this round maybe. So maybe I don't want to spend any mana. I'm going to give up my attack right now and use my bonus action to give the paladin a bonus attack. So that paladin's going to hit twice instead of once at third level, potentially double smiting something and dropping them. I was part of that kill. I got an assist. Later on, as my sneak attacks stack up, maybe I want to make sure I'm holding on to my attack action so that I can do those sneak attacks. But if I'm going to use a maneuver as a bonus action, maybe at that point I've got a large enough mana pool that, yeah, it's worth it. I'm going to go ahead and chip off that point and do that thing. Paladin, take an extra attack. There you go, buddy. Let me sneak attack with you while we do it. Let's drop this guy. That's the kind of fun action economy decisions that you can make while using this manipulation system. The other thing that we get is Power Over Precision at first level. You can reduce the amount of dice that you roll when dealing sneak attack damage, so that you can temporarily gain more mana into your mana pool. So for every d6 that I sacrifice, I get to add an additional point to my mana pool. When I finish a short rest, I get all my sneak attack dice back, And it's a short rest. I get all my sneak attack die. I get all my mana back too. So every time I take a short or long rest, I reset my power over precision. So if I know I'm going to be in a town and I'm going to be doing a bunch of negotiation stuff and I'm gambling that I'm not going to need sneak attack, I could ditch all of my sneak attack. Like if I'm 7th level, I've got 4 sneak attack dice, but only 7 mana during a short rest. I could ditch all my sneak attack dice and get an extra 4 points of mana for me to then be able to add on to my mana pool to do more stuff, like get rerolls on skill checks, or like trigger somebody to have a better reaction to me than what they would have otherwise had. Like instead of being hostile, maybe they're just indifferent, or indifferent, maybe they're friends. So I can manipulate my mana pool to get more mana so that I can surge magic to do more stuff. Kind of like if your wizard chooses Charm Person today because they think they're going to be doing some negotiation stuff, that's an optimization decision they're making in the moment for what they need to do. But at the end of their long rest, they can be like, yeah, we're going to go into the dungeon tomorrow. I don't need Charm Person right now. What I do need is Burning Hands. So I'm going to add that in instead. Your character can do the same thing as a martial character. Have that same flexibility of being able to use your mana supply and the powers that you channel to help serve the team instead of just being this static thing. I hope we have a fight, because otherwise I'm fucking worthless today. No, you just curve all that shit out so you get rid of your combat effects and instead use social and exploration stuff until you get to your next short rest, and you can swap out one of those for a combat feature. There you go. That's the kind of flexibility we're trying to offer into the system. So that's what Power of Precision does. And then we get more cool stuff later on at higher levels, but I won't overcomplicate it, because it's already this. You have to learn how to use this. Like, I mean, it's a rule set. It's the same as like you have to learn how to play a Warlock. Similar, you have to learn how to use this stuff. Fortunately, it'll be on the DMsGuild. You guys can check it out. Let's see. So those are our base class features. That's our basic rogue mana abilities. Let's see. So we'll end up gaining powers. We want to look through what proficiencies and stuff that we gain because we get expertise. So let's go through the process of building a rogue real quick with the stuff that we need to flesh out. First off, let's go to Orzhov. We already know that Orzhov gets Intimidation and Religion, so let's just go ahead and pick those up. Intimidate, Religion, and we get Thieves' Tools. And we get, what do we get? Charisma. I think it's Charisma and Dexterity. Is that our strong saves? As a Rog. Dex and Int. Oh. Cool. Armor is light, yes? Light. Weapons. Simple. Hand crossbow. Long... What? Yeah, long sword. Rapier. Short sword. I think that was short bow. Oh no. Yeah. Simple weapon is short bow. So yeah, we have that. Light armor, saving throw, dexterity. And then we can choose 4 from among these as well. Intimidate, Religion we got for free. Let's add on Acrobatics. Investigation. No, let's go with Perception. Stealth. Just roguely stuff, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then what? What we got? One left. Let's go with Insight. There we go. And then what? Orzhov learns, I think, 2 languages? Pick 2. Okay, so we have Common by default. Let's go with Celestial and Abyssal for like Rakdos stuff. Okay, that's our stack. Let's go down here. So we get friends and guidance for free as powers off of our list. So let's go with Orzhov, friends, cantrip, Orzhov, guidance, cantrip, Orzhov, Okay, so we don't get spellcasting, so we don't get command or illusory script. Instead, we're going to go off the custom list that we have for Orzhov, which is going to be Vex, which is a combat mastery, and life stealing, thank you, and life stealing strike. So we'll add those in. Vex, which is combat mastery, and life stealing strike. Which is striking. Timely timer, thanks a lot. And then we're going to have Phantom. So spellcasters, they all get a list of bonus spells that they learn, or that they always have prepared, right? That they know, because they're spellcasters and they took they happen to take a subclass. But marshals don't have that because they never had a list of powers to select from, so we had to update that. So what we're going to do here is let's go take a look at our Phantom. Monk class features. Let's go to Phantom. So we get Resilience and Vanish. So Resilient, which is an exploit 1, and then Vanish, which is exploit 1. So we're going to look at what each of these things are in just a few moments here. And then we have our list of 4 prepared powers that we know that we can swap out after a long rest or once every short rest, and that'll be our build. I mean, these things aren't super complicated. They're only 3rd level, but the mechanics are interesting, so that's why we spend our time here. We know what friends is. They get pissed off that you trick them into being friendly with it, to give you a friendly. There is friendly, indifferent, and hostile. Thank you. So friends forces a creature to have a friendly disposition for you until it ends, and then they realize that they've been hoodwinked, and they'll probably immediately become hostile. So it's a temporary gain at best. Very exploitative, very Orzhov by nature. Guidance is a divine whisper of heads or tails. Let's go heads instead of tails. There you go. That's also because Orzhov is the religion, the spiritual leaders of Ravnica. It's also the bank. So I mean, take a grain of salt with that. It's awesome. And then so we'll look at Vex, Life Stealing, and then Resilient and Vanish when we go into our prep list. But for right now, I want to look at the archetype features. Here's an interesting thing: the tech on power over precision, cunning power, and the empowered maneuvers. We created that in our 2nd iterative design phase, after we had gone through all the subclasses originally being built. So the technology of the base class is now more evolved than the technology of the rogue archetypes. So on a lot of these things, I have no improvements, like no changes. Like the Phantom here, technically none of the features in the Phantom need to be changed. No changes. They all work as listed with the martial power system that we've developed. But let's lean into that here real quick to actually see what we have going on, because I've already noticed a change that we can make. Potentially. So Whispers of the Dead, echoes of those that have died, cleans to. Oh yeah, I need to put in the expertise. What do we want to have expertise for? Because we get 2 expertises. Let's take. Let's see. Let's take expertise. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just take expertise and perception. That's pretty common. Actually, that's pretty necessary because I think our wisdom's crap. Hold on. Let's check out our wisdom. Yeah. Wisdom's not very strong. And honestly, athletics, it might be smart for us to take expertise in athletics so we can overcome that -2 to get the ground 0. Because we'll only end up having a +2 bonus in athletics overall. Yeah. So I think that's... I'm going to keep expertise because having a lookout is important. I'm going to take... I don't even have athletics. Oof. That might be a mistake. Acrobatics use dexterity. I don't know. Do I want to keep acrobatics? I can use acrobatics a lot, but it doesn't necessarily replace athletics. Fuck it. Let's just leave that be, and let's take insight. That's not necessarily. I mean, you can rekit your shit as you wish if you decide to pick up this character. You can swap out stuff. This is just a sample build to see what you can do, right? Just to give you something to play with for the time being. There's that. And yeah. We're gonna look at the architect class features, which is what's it called? Whispers. Oh yeah, that's right. Whispers of the Dead. This is actually super relevant. Echoes of those who died cling to you. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can choose one skill or tool proficiency that you lack and gain it. Like athletics, for example. You lose the proficiency when you use this feature to choose a different proficiency that you lack. There you go. So we can pick that up. Super useful. Barely an inconvenience. Wails from the Grave. Here's something worth debating. Okay, so let's look what Wails of the Grave does. As you nudge someone closer to the grave, you can channel the power of death to harm someone else as well. So immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature on your turn, you can target a second creature that is within 30 feet that you can see. Roll half the number of sneak attack dice. At 3rd level, this will become you'd roll 1 sneak attack die instead of 2. And the second creature takes necrotic damage equal to the roll's total. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Equal to your proficiency bonus. So at 3rd level, I'd have use of this twice, and I wouldn't have access to it again until I finish a long rest. Things like this, what I like to do... Okay, so we do need to make some caveats about this because it's important. Wails from the Grave. Specifically... because the power over precision lets us drop the amount of sneak attack dice that we have. So it's actually important for us to be able to note whether or not we have sneak attack dice available to us or not. When you deal sneak attack damage, you can immediately target another creature you can see within 30 feet to take necrotic damage equal to half the sneak attack dice rolled during the first That's important because at later levels you can make a strike, and then you can sacrifice a number of hit dice to get a free strike power. Strike powers are like smites. You'll see them in a minute. But as we gain levels in Rogue, we'll be able to sacrifice... We can sacrifice sneak attack till our next short rest to gain mana in our pool. Alternatively, if you're keeping all your sneak attack dice, you can sacrifice... Basically, you can sacrifice 3 sneak attack dice to get a free rank, a free point of temporary mana that you can spend on a strike power. So a 17th level rogue that has 9 sneak attack dice can get rid of all 9 sneak attack dice to channel a 3rd rank power for free. And at 17th level, you're rolling D10 extra damage whenever you hit. So a 17th level character, instead of rolling 9d6, and that's your sneak attack damage, if you could make a sneak attack using empower, what is it? I'll show. I wasn't showing this, but I'll show it because it's relevant to the conversation. Cunning Power. Instead of burning mana to channel a strike when you hit with a sneak attack, because when you hit with a sneak attack, you can spend mana to deal extra damage and cause an effect. Like the life-stealing strike, you get extra temporary hit points as a result of your attack. So instead of burning mana to channel a strike when you hit with a sneak attack, you can choose to reduce the sneak attack damage dice by 3 to channel a first-rank strike without spending any mana. At 13th, you can spend 6 dice instead to channel a second-rank power. And at 19th level, you can, that's not 17, 19th level, you can reduce the damage by 9 dice to get 3 points of temporary mana for free. So if at 19th level, I get rid of all my sneak attack dice so I can channel a strike into one target, if I'm going to then use the whales from the grave, I only have one 6-sided die left, so it'd be a minimum of 1. During your initial attack, equal to half minimum of 1. When using Power over Precision or Cunning Strike, is that what it's called? Cunning Power. Now using whales from the grave is half the available sneak attack dice, not the total amount. That's important. Like if I only have 2 sneak attack dice because I burned off one of them so I could get a point of mana, I'd only have 2d6. So whenever I use Whale of Graves, it wouldn't be 3d6 divided by 2 round up equals 2d6. It would instead be 2d6 divided by 2 equals 1d6. Minimum of 1d6. So even if I burn off all my dice using a strike power to cut a bitch, then I would still, if I'm using Whales in the Grave, I would still be able to get a d6. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Regaining. You regain all uses when you finish a long rest. Alternatively, you can regain 1 use by burning 2 points of mana. So at 3rd level, I can do it twice. If I wanted to spend 2 mana, I only have 3 mana right now. If I wanted to spend 2 mana, I could regain 1 use of Whales from the Grave. There you go. But now I need to grab these, lift them up, go down to the Phantom, and start fixing these things. No changes. What are the rest of the features? Are there other modifications we need to make now that we're getting into the new tech? Tokens of the Departed. Oh, not 7th, that's 9th. And Ghost Walk and Death's Friend. Let's build these things out. There we go. I didn't have my caps lock on. 9, 13, 17. Ghost Walk. And Death's Friend. Tokens of Departed. How's it go? Let's see. Tokens of Departed. When a life ends in your presence, you're able to snatch a token from the departed soul, a sliver of its life essence that takes physical form. As a reaction, when a creature you can see dies within 30 feet of you, you can open your free hand and cause a tiny trinket to appear there, a soul trinket. The DM determines the trinket's form, blah, blah, blah. You can have a maximum number of soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while at your maximum. You can use soul trinkets in the following way. While a soul trinket is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and constitution saving throws. For your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within the object. When you deal sneak attack damage on your turn, you can destroy one of the soul trinkets that's on your person and then immediately use Wails of the Grave without expending a use of that feature. Useful. As an action, you can destroy one of the soul trinkets no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask the spirit associated with the trinket one question. The spirit appears to you and answers in a language it knew in its life. It's under no obligation to be truthful, and it answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free. Spirit knows only what it knew during life. No changes needed here. Oh, no changes needed here. So the tokens are going to let you get use of Wails from the Grave back, but we can still burn 2 mana to get it back. Maybe we don't want to do that. Yeah, let's not use that. Let's just leave it with the tokens as is. That feels fair. Ghost Walk. You can phase partially into the realm of the dead, becoming like a ghost. As a bonus action, you assume a spectral form. While in this form, you have the flying speed of 10 feet. You can hover. Attack rolls have disadvantage against you. You can also move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you take D10 force damage if you end your turn inside a creature or an object. Okay. You stay in this form for 10 minutes or until you end it as a bonus action. To use this feature again, you must finish a long rest or destroy one of your soul trinkets as part of the bonus action you use to activate Ghost Walk. And you can't create one while at your maximum. Okay. So you have unlimited, basically unlimited as long as you keep killing stuff. Sure. I don't think we need to change that. I think this is probably why I didn't have a lot of changes. Yeah, so far so good. So what? Let's look at Death's Friend to see if there's any modifications needed. Your association with death has become so close that you gain the following benefits. When you use your Wails from the Grave, you can deal necrotic damage to both the first and the second creature. At the end of a long rest, a soul trinket appears in your hand. Oh, when you... Okay, yeah, no changes. Also, no changes. Because all these rules still apply. It's just now you get the double hit. Is it double hit the same creature? Both the first and the second creature. Yeah, there we go. So you get the double dip on the sneak attack damage. That's pretty good. Let's see. Okay, so that's all the features. That's all those features. And now we get to dip into the powers. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick at what these powers do, since that's what we were promising to do. A combat mastery is like a weapon mastery that's been proposed in the revised rules for 2024. But a combat mastery, it's like a skill that you pick up that you can use with any weapon. You're spending a known, you're preparing this mastery so that you can use it with any weapon. So Vex, whenever you hit a creature with any kind of a weapon attack, be it a unarmed strike, natural weapons, or anything that you're holding, target, as long as you're proficient, target makes an intelligence saving throw, or it is at disadvantage on its next attack roll until the end of its next turn. Pretty basic. It doesn't cost anything to use that. It's like a cantrip. And then life-stealing strike. Let's go take a look at that. I personally like this one a lot. Remember, at 3rd level, we're using a D6 power die. So strike powers, 1st rank, life-stealing strike. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana burned, and at 3rd level we can only burn 1 mana at a time. And we see 3rd rank, 1 rank, 1 power die is D6. So your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana burned. In addition, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the result of the power dice rolled. So I'd roll a D6, I would deal an extra D6 damage, I would gain D6 temporary hit points. I can do that as often as I deal life-stealing strike. At 17th level, if I were to put 5 mana, I would roll 5d10, and life-stealing strike would give me 5d10 temporary hit points. That is super useful, but it's not healing. You can get burned through. It can also be dispelled. So life-stealing strike is super useful. Let's see. What's some of the other cool shit that we get? We got Resilient and Vanish, which are, thank you, Timely Timer. Let's go look at our exploits. Resilient. When making a saving throw, you can roll 1 power die per mana channel, adding the highest result to your die roll. So at 3rd level, I can burn 1 mana to channel channel Resilient to add a D6 to any saving throw. And that is it's not a reaction, it's an exploit. So it's done while you're making the roll. It doesn't cost any action economy for you to do that. There are effects like Saving Grace is a reaction that when you make a saving throw, you can re-roll the saving throw. There you go. That's different. The Resilient, you just spend the mana when you make your saving throw. I want to bump that. Okay. You just gotta know what the result is before you do it. Adding the highest, when you make this, you can add 1 power die per mana channel, adding the highest results to the result. Before you know the results of the save, that is appropriate language. You can roll 1 power die per mana channeled, adding the highest result roll to your result. Nice. And then Vanish. Well, that's not an exploit. Vanish is a maneuver. Hold on. Again, we can do maneuvers as actions or as bonus actions, and if we sacrifice 1 attack during our attack action, we get a free point of mana that we could then use as a bonus action to channel Vanish. And Vanish is very simply, you become invisible until the beginning of your next turn. It doesn't get disrupted by attacks or casting spells. You're just flat out fucking invisible. Enjoy. Super useful. But if you're going to get it for free, you don't have any attacks available to you during your round. You would have to, you could use your action to get a free point of mana, to then use a bonus action to trigger Vanish. You could then use your move action to become adjacent to an enemy. And then if an ally is making attacks against that creature and you now have flanking, so you get advantage on the saving throw, you would be able to then use your sneak attack as a reaction. So this is allowing you to, again, lean into the action economy and positioning that's in 5e already to be able to gain these benefits. Nice. Now we have 4 powers that we can prepare ourselves. So we have a maneuver, that's free. We have resilience, which is an exploit, and it's always prepared. And then we have a life-stealing strike. So life-stealing strike to me feels black. So I think we want to go with strikes. And maneuvers, as long as they're 1st rank, maneuvers are free if we're willing to use our attack action to do so. So I'm going to make sustained a maneuver, because I don't necessarily, I know I'm going to want to have mana in my pool so I can use life stealing. So I know for a fact I want to have black. I only have 3 mana at 3rd level, though. Unless I cheat in more by giving up sneak attack dice. And when I do that, it can be any color that I want in the moment that I give them up. Maneuver. And that leaves me with reaction. That leaves me with exploits. The exploit that we have is resilience, which is saving throws, which is combat. So I think I want to make reactions black as well. That'll help make sure our mana pool... No, it's an exploit. That will help make sure our mana pool stays consolidated. That relegates white to be reactions. So let's see what we can do to avoid having reactions right now. Again, I can switch out my entire... All the powers that I know, all the powers I prepare. I can switch out all the powers that I have prepared and how much mana I have in each color whenever I finish a long rest. I can change out all the colors in my mana pool to be whatever I want whenever I finish a short rest. And I can replace one power that I know that I've prepared whenever I finish a short rest. But these powers are permanently on my list. They're known. So I always know the exploits, the strikes, these things that we're looking at. So we always have life stealing, we always have resilient, we always have vanish. And so I'm always going to want to have black mana in my mana pool for resilience and for life stealing, but the rest of it is open. Currently, my mana pool isn't deep enough for me to justify double dipping. So I'm going to do everything I can to avoid. I can learn as many maneuvers as I want as long as I'm willing to use them once per round and not making an attack during that round, so that they're free. So I don't have to have any mana in the pool because I reduce the cost of channeling it to 0. I can cheat my way out of that color that way. I'm going to avoid reactions altogether, probably until 5th level, because then I'll have enough mana. I can have a point or two for reactions just in case of an oh shit. But so I'm going to have maneuvers, exploits, and strikes. That's what I'm going to do. And even when I get to 5th level, when I can channel 2nd rank powers, I'm still probably going to want to stick with 1st rank maneuvers because I'm only going to get 1 attack during my attack action as a rogue. So I'm going to want to sacrifice that attack to get the free maneuver if circumstances allow me to use my bonus action that way. So until probably 7th or 8th level, I'm going to stay with 1st rank maneuvers, and then I'll evolve into 2nd rank maneuvers. Granted, keeping in mind this is coming from a perspective of actually running games from level 1 to 20, where you're going to have the opportunity to express your entire character arc. In most campaigns that are going to stop like around 4th or 7th level, then yeah, you're going to need to be conservative about how you split up your power. But that just gives you a shitload of options for you to be able to play out. So cheers. Let's see, what are we going to learn? We have 4 powers we can learn that are 1st rank powers. We have access to exploits for mana, strikes for mana, and then maneuvers for no cost if we choose. So let's dip into the maneuvers first to see what we might find that we could be using during combat reasonably. What would I want to do? I'm going to avoid reactions, although they're super cool. I'm going to avoid them for now. We're going to do playtesting at the 9th level, which is 3rd rank powers. It's half casting progression. So by 9th level, we'll have access to 3rd rank powers. We'll be able to do a lot of stuff at that level. But for now, we're keeping it fairly simple. Let's see. Oh, you curse a creature that you can see to reduce the result of all attack. No, that's not what I want. Muddled Mind. Let's see. Curse of the Mindless, the Muddled Mind. To roll ability checks and concentration checks with disadvantage. I need to get rid of that concentration check language. With disadvantage. The creature. Roll ability checks and... No, that's appropriate. And concentrate, yeah. Nope. The way that we work, the way that concentration works is that it triggers off of saving throws, and having a disadvantage on a saving throw for the sake of concentration, that's overly complicated. So I'm going to have to scrap that. Can make an intelligence saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect when it succeeds. Let's see. Curse of the Eyeless. Coordinated dash. Flatten, goad, rally, regenerate. Oof, man. You can stabilize a dying creature you touch and restore a number of hit points equal to your max rank of power. I like Swift Resuscitation. Let's take that one. That's useful. And that could be an in-combat thing that you would want to make use of. I could see that. So let's go lean in. That's maneuver. Sure. You force a creature you can see to make a wisdom saving throw. If the save succeeds, you can see if the creature is affected by an illusion or shape change magic. Nah. Oh, bonus attack. That's useful. Make an attack. This is super useful. I think we use this with the... I'm pretty sure we use this with the Dimir Soulblade. Let's go take a look. Hold on real quick. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we learn Vanish because you get the invisibility, which gives you advantage. The bonus attack, actually super useful. Bonus attack, make an attack with a weapon you're holding, or you can draw a weapon as part of the attack. Make the attack with advantage. So if I were to give up my attack and then use the bonus attack as a maneuver, as a bonus action, I'm giving myself advantage, which would allow me to use sneak attack. That's really, that's so useful. I can see that just being built into what rogues do at low levels. Is that overly optimized? Probably. So let's avoid it. Let's see if there's something else that we can do that's cooler instead. I mean, that's really fucking tight. And you can always pick it up any day you want. So we're just going to try to go for variety here, just to look at all sorts of different things. So it's something else that we could do. Ambush. When making an ability check, you can use the stealth skill, or when rolling initiative, roll 1 power die per mana channel. Adding ambush is really good. So when I roll initiative or a stealth check, I get to add a d6 for 1 mana. What else is good? Ground fighting. When making an ability check that can use the acrobatics or athletics skill, or when making a grappling check, roll 1 power die per mana burned, adding the highest result to your roll. That's not bad for getting out of trouble. Master Burglar, when making an ability check that uses acrobatics or stealth skill or thieves tools, roll. Well, Master Burglar, that's a really good one. Let's just go with that. Master Burglar. Add a power die to your roll when making acrobatics, stealth, or thieves tools. Master Burglar. Now, Ambush and Master Burglar, you could use them together at the same time to bump up stealth, but you would require you using 2 mana, and you can only use 1 mana at a time at 3rd level. So you can't use more than 1 exploit if you only have 1 rank. Once you get the 2nd rank, you could just as easily just spend 2 mana on Master Burglar or on Ambush and still get the bonus to stealth. But Ambush also gives you the bonus to initiative, which is super helpful, especially if you're catching your enemy flat-footed, so you can do sneak attacks. Useful. We won't have access to the better one until higher levels. Hold on. One more. Swift Resuscitation, Ambush, Master Burglar. Is there a sustained effect that we want? No, let's see if there's another. Oh, you can empower a target ally that can see or hear you use your reaction to make an opportunity attack, rolling 1 power die per mana channeled. Adding the highest result to the ally's attack against a target you and the ally can both see. No. Flatten, goad, rally. Regenerate, restraining hold. We're not a grappler. We don't want to do restraining hold. Swift resuscitation. I think we already have that, right? Yeah, swift. That's a useful one. Let's go look at our sustained powers. Well, let's look at the rest of our. Ooh, maybe we want to pick up another mastery. Hold on. Blind sense. You're aware of the location of any creature or object in the same plane of existence as you within 10 feet times your max rank of power, which is 10 feet right now, including walls, doors, ceilings, floors. Though you can't identify things like color or written text under the object as using blind sense alone. Cliff runner is useful. You gain a climb speed equal to your walking speed, and you can climb this way without using your hands. That's really useful. Crouching stance. When you channel this power, you can gain... These are concentration effects, so you can gain the following abilities. You can crawl and stand from prone without requiring additional movement. Attacks made against you while prone. So while you're prone, you can move full speed. And while you're prone, attacks are always at disadvantage. You don't have disadvantage while attacking, and attacks made against you don't. Attack rolls made against you while prone by creatures within 5 feet don't have advantage, and you don't have disadvantage, and you gain advantage on stealth checks while prone. That's pretty fucking good. Let's take it. Crouching stance. Sustain 1. Now I have to maintain concentration while I'm sustaining this crouching stance. But if I chose, I could lock it. And if I lock it, I lose the ability to channel mana. But that's okay, because while I can't channel mana, I can still reduce the cost of swift resuscitation, vanish. I can drop those to 0 by spending an action. So by not, even though I cut off my mana because I locked all my channels, I can still reduce things down to 0 cost and get away from doing them for free. That's not bad. And that bonus, that advantage, that's good. Ambush, Master Burglar. Yeah, I'm going to keep these. Yeah, I'm going to keep those. There you go. Hey, that's an Orzhov. And again, you can switch out all these prepared powers whenever you finish a long rest, or one of them when you finish a short rest. You can switch your mana pool whenever you finish a short or long rest. So this is just a snapshot of what your character can do. It could be right now, today. Tomorrow, you could have completely different powers all swapped out, but you're still going to have this core chassis of what your Orzhov and your Phantom character gains. And as you gain levels, you'll have access to more powers for free. We'll get Cliff Runner for free. We'll get Keen Mind for free. We can learn almost all of these at earlier levels than when we get them for free. But when we get them for free, we stop choosing to prepare them. So they're useful that way. There's some good shit here. Oh, that's a scout. I wanted to look at Phantom. Sorry. There we go. Necrotic damage, life-stealing strike. We get that eventually. We got that for free as Orzhov, so that's kind of a nothing burger, but that's okay. Phase, we get Swift Resuscitation for free, so we'll eventually give that up at 9th level. We won't need it anymore. Fickle Fate Ghost. These are all super good things. All right. So that's it for today, guys. We're going to be back on Monday. We're going to build a Rakdos Barbarian on Monday. Monday morning, we'll be continuing artwork for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement. Monday night, we'll be doing Eberron artwork. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back doing Spelljammer stuff. And then I'm going to make a recording, and then on Sunday, we'll have the pre-recorded video that will drop. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Hey, Zona. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for swinging through. It's good to see you. And later, guys. Thanks a lot.